Hello and welcome. Let's talk about something many of us know all too well. Do you ever find yourself sitting in your favorite chair and you realize your feet feel like two blocks of ice, even with a blanket wrapped around them? Or maybe you're woken up in the middle of the night by a sudden, sharp cramp in your calf that just won't quit. If that sounds familiar, you're far from alone. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, a staggering 9 out of 10 older adults in the U.S. report having at least one chronic condition. And many of these, like high blood pressure and diabetes, are directly linked to circulation problems. In fact, it's estimated that between 12% and 20% of Americans over 65 are affected by peripheral artery disease, or PAD, a major cause of poor leg circulation, and a huge number of them don't even know they have it. Now, your doctor has likely talked to you about diet and exercise, and that's fantastic advice. But what they often don't have the time to explain is the powerful role that specific nutrients play, not as a magic cure, but as your body's own internal support crew. And if you've been telling yourself, well, this is just what getting older feels like, I'm here today to respectfully challenge that idea. Feeling constantly cold, numb, or in pain doesn't have to be your new normal. In the next 25 minutes, we are going on a deep dive. We're going to uncover 7 essential vitamins and supplements that can help support your body's incredible circulatory system. We'll give you a powerful toolkit of strategies to help you feel warmer, more comfortable, and more in control of your health, starting today. The problem we're tackling today is poor circulation, and it's not just about cold feet or annoying leg cramps. It's about the health of the most fundamental delivery service in your body. Think of it like the highway system of a country. Your blood vessels are the roads, and your blood cells are the trucks, delivering life-giving oxygen and vital nutrients to every single cell, tissue, and organ. When those highways get narrow, congested, or damaged, the deliveries slow down. That's when you start to feel the effects: the coldness, the numbness, the pain, the fatigue, and even slower wound healing. Our goal today isn't to replace your doctor's advice. That is, and always will be, your most important resource. Our goal is to arm you with knowledge so you can have a more informed, more empowered conversation about your health. We want you to walk into your next doctor's appointment not just with a list of symptoms, but with a list of smart questions. To make sure we're getting this right, we'll be drawing on research and guidelines from some of the most trusted names in American medicine, including the Mayo Clinic, the National Institute on Aging, and studies from institutions like Johns Hopkins Medicine. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to count down our top 7 essential vitamins and supplements for improving blood circulation. For each one, we'll talk about why it works in simple, easy-to-understand terms. We'll share a relatable story to help it stick. And most importantly, we'll give you clear, practical action steps and discuss the critical red flags, the signs that mean it's time to have a serious talk with your healthcare provider. You'll definitely want to stick around for number 2, where we'll talk about the body's calcium traffic cop and how it can prevent your arteries from hardening. And number 5 is a real game changer for anyone who's ever felt that frustrating leg pain when walking. And a quick but very important reminder: I am not a doctor, and this video is for informational and educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always, and I mean always, seek the advice of your personal physician or another qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Your health journey is unique to you, and your doctor is your most trusted partner on that journey. All right, let's get started. All right, let's kick things off with our number 7, magnesium. Many of us think of magnesium for preventing muscle cramps or for better sleep, but its role in our circulation is absolutely profound. The specific problem it helps solve is blood vessel tension. So, what's the science here? Think of your arteries and veins like flexible garden hoses. For water to flow easily, those hoses need to be relaxed and open, not stiff and constricted. Magnesium acts as a natural relaxation signal for the tiny, smooth muscles that line your blood vessel walls. It essentially tells them to chill out and widen. This process, called vasodilation, is critical. It lowers blood pressure and allows blood to flow more freely with less effort from your heart. When you're low on magnesium, those vessels can stay tense and narrow, forcing your heart to work much harder to push blood through that constricted space. It's no surprise that studies suggest lower magnesium intake is linked to a higher risk of high blood pressure and a dangerous condition called calcification of the arteries, which we'll talk more about later. I think of my neighbor, Carol. She was doing everything right. She walked every day. She watched her diet, but her blood pressure was stubbornly high, and she often complained about her feet feeling like ice blocks at night. It was a constant frustration for her. Her doctor finally did some deeper blood work and discovered she was low in magnesium. It turns out that some common blood pressure medications, specifically certain types of diuretics or water pills, can actually cause your body to flush out more magnesium than usual. It was a piece of the puzzle she was missing. Once she started consciously adding more magnesium-rich foods to her diet, and with her doctor's okay, a small supplement, she noticed a real difference, not just in her blood pressure readings, but in how warm her feet felt in the evenings. So what's your action step? The best place to start is always with food. Think dark leafy greens like spinach, nuts like almonds, seeds and legumes like black beans and lentils. If you and your doctor decide a supplement is a good idea, the recommended daily amount for adults over 50 is around 320 milligrams for women and 420 milligrams for men. There are many forms out there, but magnesium glycinate and magnesium citrate are often recommended because they tend to be well absorbed by the body and are gentler on the stomach. Now for the red flags, and this is critical. Magnesium can interact with several common medications. If you are taking blood pressure drugs, especially a class called calcium channel blockers, certain diuretics, some antibiotics, or medications for osteoporosis like bisphosphonates, you absolutely must talk to your doctor before starting a supplement. Also, if you have any form of kidney disease, your body can't get rid of excess magnesium efficiently, which can lead to toxic levels. This is definitely not a more is better situation. So we've covered how to help our blood vessels relax. But what about protecting them from damage in the first place? That brings us directly to our next nutrient, which works hand in hand with another crucial vitamin to keep our arteries healthy from the inside out. Coming in at number 6 is a vitamin you hear about all the time, vitamin D. We all know it's vital for keeping our bones strong, but a growing body of research shows it's just as important for our blood vessels. The problem vitamin D helps address is the health and flexibility of the inner lining of our arteries. Let's look at the simple science. Imagine the inside of your arteries is coated with a super smooth, non-stick surface, like a brand new Teflon pan. This delicate inner lining is called the endothelium. Its job is to keep blood flowing smoothly and to help the vessels expand and contract as needed. Vitamin D plays a key role in maintaining the health, elasticity, and proper function of this lining. When your vitamin D levels are low, this lining can become stiff, inflamed, and less efficient. It's no coincidence that low vitamin D levels have been linked to higher blood pressure and an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. Let me tell you about a gentleman I read about. We'll call him Frank. Frank lived up in the Pacific Northwest, where sunny days can be few and far between, and he spent most of his time indoors. He started developing high blood pressure, but his diet was good and he was active. So his doctor was a bit puzzled. A simple blood test revealed the culprit, a severe vitamin D deficiency. This is incredibly common in seniors. As we age, our skin becomes much less efficient at making vitamin D from sunlight. Combine that with the fact that many older adults simply don't get as much sun exposure as they used to, and you have a perfect storm for deficiency. So what's the action step here? The best source of vitamin D is, of course, sensible sun exposure, about 15 to 20 minutes a day on your arms and legs without sunscreen. But that's not always practical or safe for everyone. So the next best step is to focus on food sources. The stars of the show are fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, egg yolks, and foods that are fortified with vitamin D, like milk, some orange juices, and many breakfast cereals. And this brings us to the red flags. It's very important to know that extremely high doses of vitamin D can cause too much calcium to build up in your blood. This is especially risky if you're taking certain heart medications like digoxin, or some blood pressure drugs like thiazide diuretics or diltiazem. If you have kidney disease or are taking steroid medications, you also need to have a conversation with your doctor before starting a vitamin D supplement. Now that we've covered protecting the artery lining, let's talk about a powerful duo that actively helps widen the arteries to boost blood flow, especially when you're up and moving around. At number 5, we have a dynamic duo, the amino acids l-arginine and its powerful partner, L-citrulline. These two work as a team to tackle a very specific and often frustrating problem: getting your blood vessels to open up on demand, especially when you're active. Here's how this fascinating process works. Your body uses the amino acid L-arginine as the raw material to create a truly wonderful molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a potent vasodilator. That's just a fancy way of saying it sends a signal to your blood vessels to relax and widen, allowing a rush of oxygen-rich blood to flow through. This is absolutely essential when you're walking, gardening, or climbing stairs. The problem is, when you take an L-arginine supplement by itself, a lot of it gets broken down by your liver before it can even get into your bloodstream to do its job. This is where L-citrulline comes in as the clever workaround. When you take L-citrulline, your body absorbs it, and your kidneys then convert it into L-arginine. It's like using a secret back door to sneak the supplies past the guards. This process leads to higher and more sustained levels of l-arginine in your blood, which means more fuel to produce that all-important blood flow-boosting nitric oxide. Studies have shown this process can help lower blood pressure and improve blood flow in people with circulatory conditions like peripheral artery disease, or PAD. One study focusing on older adults found that taking 6 grams of L-citrulline a day significantly improved muscle blood flow during exercise in men. Think of a man named John, a 69-year-old who loved to take walks around his neighborhood. But as his circulation worsened, he found he would had to stop every few blocks because of painful, cramping muscles in his legs. This is a classic symptom of PAD called intermittent claudication, and it happens because the arteries just can't deliver enough oxygen to the working muscles. For people like John, supplements that boost nitric oxide can sometimes help improve that exercise tolerance, allowing them to walk further with less pain and frustration. Your action step starts with food. You can get L-arginine from protein-rich foods like poultry, fish, red meat, and nuts. L-citrulline is famously found in high concentrations in watermelon. For supplements, studies have used doses ranging from 3 to 6 grams per day of either L-arginine or L-citrulline. Because L-citrulline is often more effective at raising the body's arginine levels, It has become a very popular choice. Now for the red flags, and please listen closely to this. This is extremely important because these supplements work by lowering blood pressure. Combining them with blood pressure medications, nitrates used for chest pain, or erectile dysfunction drugs like sildenafil, Viagra, can cause your blood pressure to drop to unsafe levels. They may also increase the risk of bleeding. So if you're taking a blood thinner like warfarin or even a daily aspirin, you must get your doctor's approval first. Finally, these supplements are generally not recommended for anyone who has had a recent heart attack. Okay, let's take a quick breath. We are about to hit our mid-script recap before we dive into the top 4 game changers. Okay, we're halfway through, and you're doing great. Let's quickly recap what we've covered so far. We've talked about magnesium for relaxing our blood vessels. We've discussed vitamin D for protecting the delicate inner lining of our arteries. And we just went over the l-arginine and l-citrulline duo for boosting nitric oxide to improve blood flow when we're active. The common thread here, as you can see, is that we're not just throwing things at a symptom. And by the way, if you're finding this information helpful and empowering, do me a small favor and tap that like button below. It's a simple click for you, but it tells YouTube that this is valuable content and helps other folks just like you find our community. Thank you so much for that. Now, are you ready for the top 4? This is where we get into some truly fascinating science, including the nutrient that acts like a traffic cop for calcium in your body. Let's jump right back in. Coming in at number 4 is vitamin E. Now, this one has a complicated story. For years, it was hailed as a heart health superstar, and in theory, it makes perfect sense. It helps solve the problem of oxidative stress, which you can think of as a kind of biological rust that damages your blood vessels. But, and this is a very big but, this is a supplement that comes with some very serious warnings for seniors that we need to discuss carefully. First, the why. Vitamin E is a powerful, fat-soluble antioxidant. Its main job is to act like a bodyguard, protecting the delicate fats in your cell membranes from damage. In terms of circulation, its most important role is helping to prevent the oxidation of LDL cholesterol, the so-called bad cholesterol. When LDL cholesterol gets oxidized or rusts, it becomes sticky and is a key ingredient in the plaque that builds up and clogs our arteries, a process called atherosclerosis. Vitamin E also has a mild blood-thinning effect, which can help blood flow more smoothly. Now here's where the story gets complicated, and it serves as a powerful lesson. Many people, like a friend's mother named Betty, started taking high-dose vitamin E supplements back in the 90s, believing they were preventing heart attacks. But as scientists conducted larger, more rigorous studies, the results were disappointing. Major research reviews, including some from respected institutions like Johns Hopkins, found that for many people, the supplements didn't provide the expected benefits, and in some high-dose cases, could actually be harmful. Betty was also taking a daily low-dose aspirin, and her doctor wisely warned her that combining that with a high-dose vitamin E supplement could dangerously increase her risk of bleeding. So what is the action step? For vitamin E, the safest and best approach is to get it from your food. You don't need a supplement to get what your body needs. Excellent sources include nuts and seeds, especially almonds and sunflower seeds, green vegetables like spinach, and vegetable oils like sunflower and safflower oil. The recommended daily amount for adults is 15 milligrams, which is about 22 international units, an amount that is easily achievable with a balanced diet. This brings us to the most important part of this section, the red flags. Please do not start a vitamin E supplement without talking to your doctor. The risks, especially for seniors, can outweigh the potential benefits. High doses, generally considered anything over 400 IU, have been clearly linked to an increased risk of bleeding, which is especially dangerous if you take blood thinners like warfarin or even over-the-counter drugs like aspirin or ibuprofen. It can also interfere with the effectiveness of cholesterol-lowering statins and niacin. And most concerning, some research has raised red flags about a potential increased risk of prostate cancer and even higher mortality rates in people with a history of heart disease or stroke who take high doses. If you have surgery scheduled, you absolutely must stop taking it at least 2 weeks beforehand. The story of vitamin E is a powerful lesson in caution and the importance of professional medical advice. Now, let's move on to a nutrient with a much clearer and safer profile for fighting a key driver of poor circulation: inflammation. At number 3, we have the omega-3 fatty acids, specifically the two power players known as EPA and DHA. You probably know them best as the healthy fats found in fish oil. They are true superstars when it comes to fighting the hidden enemy of your arteries: chronic, low-grade inflammation. Let's explore the science. Inflammation is your body's natural and healthy response to an injury, like when you get a cut. But when that inflammatory response is switched on at a low level all the time, it can wreak havoc on the delicate lining of your blood vessels, making them stiff, damaged, and much more prone to plaque buildup. Omega-3s are powerful anti-inflammatory agents. They help to cool down that chronic fire inside your arteries. But that's not all they do. They also help lower triglycerides, which are a type of fat in your blood that can contribute to heart disease. They may modestly lower blood pressure, and just like l-arginine, they encourage your body to release more of that wonderful nitric oxide to help relax and widen your blood vessels. I remember my own father, who struggled with rheumatoid arthritis and was starting to have circulation issues as well. His joints were clearly inflamed, and his doctor explained that the very same inflammatory process was likely affecting his blood vessels. His doctor's first prescription wasn't a pill. So what's your action step? The top recommendation from the American Heart Association is to get your omega-3s from food. Aim to eat fatty, cold water fish like salmon, mackerel, herring, and sardines at least 2 times per week. If you don't eat fish, there are plant-based sources like flaxseed, chia seeds, and walnuts. These are great for you, but it's important to know they contain a different type of omega-3 called ALA. Your body has to convert ALA into the more powerful EPA and DHA, and it's not very efficient at doing so. And that brings us to the red flags. Just like vitamin E, omega-3s can have a blood-thinning effect. This is usually mild, but if you are taking anticoagulant medications like warfarin or antiplatelet drugs, it is absolutely essential to speak with your doctor before starting a supplement. The combination could potentially increase your risk of bleeding or bruising. And if you take high doses, typically over 3 to 5 grams a day, you might experience side effects like heartburn, an upset stomach, or a fishy aftertaste. So we've tackled inflammation. But what about the actual hardening of the arteries? Our number 2 supplement is one of the most exciting and overlooked nutrients for managing a mineral that can either help you or harm you, depending on where it ends up. Get ready for our number 2, because this one is a genuine aha moment for so many people. It's vitamin K2, and the critical problem it helps solve is one of the most dangerous aspects of aging arteries: arterial calcification, which is the scientific term for the hardening of the arteries. This is a truly fascinating story. For decades, seniors, especially women, have been told to take calcium supplements to protect their bones from osteoporosis. But here's the paradox that doctors are now beginning to understand: that calcium doesn't automatically know where it's supposed to go. Without a director, that calcium can end up being deposited in your soft tissues, like your heart valves and, you guessed it, your artery walls. This is where vitamin K2 comes in. Think of it as your body's own calcium traffic cop. Its job is to direct calcium to the right places. It does this by activating two special proteins. The first protein, called osteocalcin, works in your bones. When activated by K2, it grabs onto calcium and binds it into your bone matrix, making your bones strong and dense. The second protein is called matrix Gla protein, or MGP. MGP patrols your blood vessels. When K2 activates MGP, it acts like a shield, actively preventing calcium from being deposited in your artery walls. When you're deficient in vitamin K2, MGP remains inactive. The traffic cop is off duty, and calcium is free to build up in your arteries, causing them to become stiff and hardened. Now, it's crucial to understand the difference between vitamin K1 and K2. Most people, when they hear vitamin K, think of K1, which we get from leafy green vegetables like spinach and kale. K1's primary job is to help our blood clot properly. Vitamin K2 has a completely different job related to calcium management. A famous study called the Rotterdam Study followed thousands of people for a full decade. It found that the participants with the highest dietary intake of vitamin K2 had a staggering 50% lower risk of arterial calcification and a 50% lower risk of dying from heart disease. But here's the real kicker. The amount of vitamin K1 they ate had no significant effect on these outcomes. This is powerful evidence that shows just how specific and important K2's job is. So what's the action step? Getting enough K2 from a typical American diet can be very difficult. The richest source is a Japanese fermented soybean dish called natto, which has a very strong taste. It's also found in certain hard cheeses like Gouda and Brie, and in smaller amounts in egg yolks, liver, and butter from grass-fed cows. Because of this, many people turn to supplements. When you're looking for one, make sure it specifies vitamin K2, often in the form of MK7, which has a longer half-life and stays active in the body longer. And now for the most important red flag for vitamin K. If you are taking the blood-thinning medication warfarin, which is also known as Coumadin, you must talk to your doctor before making any significant changes to your vitamin K intake from either food or supplements. Warfarin works by interfering with vitamin K's clotting function. A sudden increase in vitamin K can make the drug less effective, which could dangerously increase your risk of forming a blood clot. While some of the newer blood thinners are not as affected by vitamin K, you must assume there is an interaction and get medical clearance from your doctor. From the calcium traffic cop, we now move to our number one spot. This isn't just one vitamin, but a whole team that acts as the fundamental support system for your entire circulatory network, tackling hidden threats that can damage your blood vessels from the inside out. And here we are at number one. It's not a single nutrient, but a crucial team, the B vitamin complex. And we're going to focus specifically on vitamin B12, vitamin B9, which you know as folate, and vitamin B6. They've earned the top spot because they address the very foundation of circulatory health by tackling two critical problems at once: the quality of your blood itself and damage to your artery walls from a hidden culprit called homocysteine. Let's break down how this team works. First, let's talk about vitamin B12. I like to call it the red blood cell builder. B12 is absolutely essential for your body to produce healthy, properly shaped red blood cells. Those are the little boats in your bloodstream responsible for carrying oxygen to every corner of your body. Without enough B12, you can develop a type of anemia where your red blood cells are too large and don't work correctly. This leaves you feeling weak and fatigued, which is a classic sign that your body isn't getting the oxygen it needs. Now for the second part of their job, which involves vitamins B6 and B9. I want you to imagine a substance in your blood called homocysteine. Think of it like tiny, sharp bits of gravel flowing through your delicate arterial highways. At high levels, these sharp particles can scrape and damage the smooth inner walls of your arteries. This damage triggers inflammation and creates rough spots where plaque can easily build up. This is where vitamins B6 and B9 act as the cleanup crew. They work together to convert that damaging homocysteine into other harmless substances, effectively smoothing out the gravel and protecting your artery walls from this constant irritation. Now I want to share a story that is incredibly common and illustrates this perfectly. A man named George, who has type 2 diabetes and takes the common medication metformin, started feeling an unusual level of fatigue and a strange tingling sensation in his feet. He just assumed it was a normal part of his diabetes getting worse. But his doctor, being thorough, ran a blood test and found that George was very low in vitamin B12. It turns out that long-term use of metformin, which is a fantastic and life-saving drug for managing blood sugar, can unfortunately interfere with your body's ability to absorb vitamin B12 from the food you eat. This is a perfect example of how a medication designed to help one problem can create a need for nutritional support in another area, and why it's so important to see your health as a complete picture. So what's the action step? This is a team effort, so you need a variety of foods. For vitamin B12, look to animal products like meat, fish, eggs, and dairy. For folate, B9, think foliage, dark leafy greens, plus beans and lentils. For B6, good sources include chickpeas, salmon, and bananas. Because B12 absorption can decrease as we age, and due to common medications like metformin and acid reducers, many seniors find that a good B-complex supplement is a reliable way to get what they need. For adults over 50, the daily recommendations are about 2.4 micrograms of B12, 400 micrograms of folate, and for B6, 1.5 milligrams for women and 1.7 milligrams for men. For the red flags, if you take metformin, the American Diabetes Association now recommends that your doctor check your B12 levels periodically. Also, be aware that very high doses of B6 taken for a long time can cause nerve issues, so it's best to stick to the amounts found in a standard B-complex supplement unless your doctor says otherwise. As always, because B vitamins are involved in so many body processes, having that conversation with your doctor or pharmacist before starting a supplement is your first and most important step. What a journey we've been on together today. From relaxing our arteries with magnesium, to fighting inflammation with omega-3s, and directing calcium with the amazing vitamin K2. As we've seen, improving your circulation isn't about finding one single magic pill. It's about becoming an active, informed partner in your own health. It's about learning to listen to your body. That coldness in your feet, the numbness in your fingers, or the cramps in your legs, those are not just annoyances to be ignored. The most powerful message I want you to leave with today is this: you are the chief executive of your own health. These nutrients are tools in your toolkit. They don't replace a healthy diet, regular movement, or your doctor's essential advice. They support it. They work with it. They empower you to take back a measure of control and to work with your body to maintain the vitality, the comfort, and the independence that you so richly deserve. Now, I truly want to hear from you. Which of these 7 points was the biggest aha moment for you? Was it the calcium traffic cop role of vitamin K2? Or perhaps the connection between metformin and vitamin B12? Please, take a moment and leave a comment down below. I read every single one, and your stories, your questions, and your insights help our entire community learn and grow together. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want more practical, no-nonsense health information to help you live your most vibrant life, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the little notification bell so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It is an honor to be on this journey with you. Here's to your health, your strength, and your circulation. I'll see you in the next video.